On the news, Presidency says negotiation for new minimum wage ongoing. DHQ declares IPOB Simon Ekpa and 96 others wanted. And Edo Chief Justice constitutes panel for Shaibu's impeachment. It's a pleasure to have you join us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Okbayemi Owosheni. The presidency has expressed concerns about the delay in implementing a new minimum wage for workers. Speaking in a press conference, Special Advisor to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Media and Information, Ajuri Ngalali, says government's priority is to first establish sustainable strength in the currency before finalizing any adjustment to the minimum wage. He underscored the importance of stabilizing the national currency, as its volatility could undermine any effort to improve wage standards. He added that the aim is to set a new minimum wage that is both affordable for states and sufficient to meet the needs of Nigerian families nationwide.
He is also ensuring that we bring a sustainable strength to the currency so that when we talk about a new minimum wage, because many of our people have asked government officials about when the new minimum wage is coming in, those negotiations are ongoing. But what we do not want is a situation in which the minimum wage continues to be what it has always been in the history of our country, which is a moving goalpost. If we do not get a firm grip on the value of our currency, and it continues to be a volatile, devaluing asset, then whatever we do with the national minimum wage is going to essentially become a moot point, a nullity. And so we are focused on ensuring that, yes, we arrive at a new minimum wage that states can afford and that will deal with all of the needs of Nigerian families across the country. But we also want to ensure that what we peg it at is something that is sustainable over a number of years based on a long-term stability that we want to bring to the Nigerian Naira with the interventions we're presently making. And this is the point that His Excellency Mr. President wants to emphatically make today. There is stability coming to the currency. We're getting closer to it. And when the new minimum wage comes into effect, it is going to be one that will be sustained over a long period of time by a stable Nigerian Naira based on the interventions being made under his leadership.
The Defense Headquarters in Abuja has declared Simon Ekpa, one of the leaders of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, wanted. Ekpa's name has been included on a list of 97 individuals from various parts of the country who are wanted for terrorism, violent extremism, and secessionist threats against the state. Among those listed, Ekpa stands out due to his prominent role in controlling a faction of IPOB and his association with the organization's declaration of the notorious Monday sit-at-home in the Southeast Zone. The Defense Headquarters, through its Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, has confirmed the names and pictures of the individuals declared wanted. The wanted persons encompass individuals involved in terrorism, banditry, and insurgency from various regions, including the Northeast, Northwest, North Central, and Southeast zones. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has issued a strong directive to the Nigerian Army to swiftly bring to justice the perpetrators behind the tragic killing of 16 soldiers during a peacekeeping mission in Okwama community located in Nigeria's southern Delta State. Granting full authority to the Defense Headquarters and Chief of Defense Staff, Tinubu urged decisive action to ensure justice for the fallen soldiers and the civilian victims. Reacting to the killings, former Director of Defense Information, Major General Chris Olukolade, expressed encouragement over the nationwide outcry and condemnation of the incident. Olukolade clarified that the military operations are not aimed at punishing members of the community, but rather ensuring that the rifles used in the attack are recovered to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future.
The outcry, the condemnation of the action itself is encouraging because across the whole state and globally, there have been serious condemnation of this action. That in itself gives a picture of the complexity of the situation the military is managing at the moment and the need for more understanding and cooperation. I even think that the reaction to this has promoted the level of cooperation with the military that will be helpful eventually. And from now, everybody knows the kind of hazards involved in managing criminals that are bent on every trace or act of terrorism across the state. Today's military is well trained to recognize the importance of observation of human rights in the conduct of operations, as well as the observation of the tenets of the law of armed conflict. So I don't think that the operations are being conducted purely to punish the community. Like I mentioned earlier, it will only be good for everybody in that vicinity that these rifles are found, at least for now. The unfortunate deed has been done. The next thing is to ensure that such never happens again. But I don't think that the thing fits to be called retaliatory. The essence is to recover the arms that have been stolen, and until they are recovered, every action will be taken to ensure that those in possession of them return them. So if anybody is there and knows about it, simply just give out these criminals.
In response to the allegations against Deputy Governor Philip Shoaibu, Chief Judge Justice Daniel Okungbowa of Edo State has taken decisive action by constituting a 7-member panel to investigate the matter. These allegations were outlined in the impeachment notice issued by 24-member House of Assembly on March 6, 2024. The panel, headed by retired Justice S.A. Omonua, has been assembled in accordance with Section 188, subsection 5 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. The Chief Registrar of the Edo High Court, B.O. Osawuru, issued a statement on Saturday officially announcing the formation of the panel. This move follows a resolution by 19 out of 24 lawmakers on March 19th, directing the Chief Judge to establish the investigative panel on the issue. At a recent gathering of the Nigerian National Assembly's Committee on Communications, chaired by Senator Ikra Bilbis from Zamfara Central, the Nigerian Communication Commission (NCC) has provided reassurance regarding the functionality of emergency dial numbers for mobile phone users. The NCC's presentation on its 2023 budget performance underscored the critical role these emergency numbers play in safeguarding public safety. Ned Unwoko, representing Delta South Federal Constituency, said there is need for efficient emergency numbers in Nigeria, emphasizing their vital role during crisis situations.
I hope you bring your Midas touch, as they call it, to bear in making sure that this sector is well regulated and all that. Just that one issue, which is to do with emergency numbers. Emergency numbers. Just like you, I lived in England for many years and I traveled all over the world. I still don't understand why you cannot ensure that we have one emergency number nationally. It could be 222 or 111. Or look, let me tell you, when people are faced with emergency, nobody remembers 080 or to call any other number other than. But if you have those 3 digits nationally, it will save so many lives. You know, like in England, if you have a situation and you use your last breath to dial 999, in 5 minutes, 3 emergency numbers will respond to you. They will locate your position. Police will be there, fire service will be there, ambulance will be there, all linked together. So is there any way you can, if you can do this during your time, I'm sure it will be well appreciated by Nigerians.
The federal government has faced mounting calls to address the perception surrounding the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC), with many Nigerians believing that the agency has been exploited to siphon funds intended for the development of the Niger Delta region. These concerns were voiced during the NDDC Directorate of Legal Services 2023 retreat in Lagos, spearheaded by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Ebun Adeboruwa. He argued that this would incentivize greater commitment and dedication to their responsibility.
We want to know whether appointment into NDDC board should be limited strictly to indigenes of the oil-producing areas, or whether people from non-oil producing areas should also be entitled. There have been many court cases on this point. We want to also ensure that the act is amended in such a way as to ensure performance, especially in the issue of eliminating the headed monster of abandoned projects.
I think it's a very important contribution to what the NDC in particular and government agencies generally are doing. I like particularly the area about improving the welfare of staff. Well, we in Nigeria are very good at criticism without thinking about how the person actually experiences their life. So it's very important that lawyers in NDCC and everybody else who works there to be well remunerated so they can focus on their work.
The importance of training and retraining cannot be overemphasized in the Directorate of Legal Services of an organization as big and as pivotal as the Niger Delta Development Commission, an interventionist agency that was set up for the rapid development of the Niger Delta region. And so the current management recognizes the need for training and retraining and approved for the staff of the Directorate to be sequestered in a place like this to come together and position themselves.
Justice Joseph Olubumi Oyewole of the Court of Appeal has called for a change in the current practice of self-regulation in the legal profession. Otherwise, the future of the profession will remain in jeopardy. Speaking at the event, Usman Suleiman said the legal profession needs adequate training to be able to understand the law and apply them. Also, former president of Commonwealth Lawyers Association, Boma Alabi, urged participants to fully utilize the use of dialogue and embrace principles and practices that enhance legal practice in the country.
If you look at the nature of the legal profession and the law itself as a highly technical discipline, it's something that you have to have legal training to be able to navigate the provisions of the law successfully and interpret them and apply them. So if you throw that responsibility to somebody who is a novice, how would he be able to maintain all the necessary standards and safeguards that ensure also that justice is done to those who are being disciplined? So that is why I felt maybe we can have a body that is an amalgam of legal professionals and other professions, rather than taking it outside the purview completely of lawyers. Just like we have in the society, even in various bodies, we have other leadership in the ESCO of associations and government, and we still have lawyers that when legal questions are raised, have the necessary training and education to be able to deal with those issues.
If you're going to the law faculty of a university, you need to understand that the profession you're coming into is one where your ethics is a key part of the profession. So you cannot be a cult member in university and think that's all right because you have no idea. And then you come to the Nigerian law school, and it's at that point that they're telling you about the ethics of the profession. You need to be aware of it from the moment you get into a law faculty. And I certainly agree that it must be part of the training for law students at university level.
In commemoration of World Water Day 2024, the Hygienic Water Producers Association of Nigeria convened to address critical issues concerning water accessibility and affordability in the country under the theme Leveraging Water for Peace. They called upon government officials at all levels to implement policies aimed at achieving this goal. Specifically, they urged state governors to remove restrictions and all the harassment of water producers, thereby creating a conducive regulatory environment that fosters peace and well-being for all Nigerians.
Recently, we were hit by the rise in dollar, which also affected the cost of our production due to the import, because everything we use for our production, even the nylon, the sachet you see today, is imported, and the thing has affected our cost of production ×3. And we are appealing to the government to look into this area and call these companies that are into this importation of these raw materials to see how they can grant them import and duty waiver. At least that will help to bring down the cost of buying raw material. And at the same time, we're also appealing to Mr. President to use his good office to grant the water producers in Nigeria tax waivers.
Whatever policy the government will be taking now or tomorrow will bear in mind it must not be a policy that will reduce accessibility to potable water to our community and society at large. It will be a policy that will enhance the affordability and distribution of this essential commodity called water to all the people in Nigeria in particular and in the whole world at large, not minding their location and locality. So I appeal to the government at the national level, which is our president, and also at the state level, to have the masses in mind in every policy they are going to formulate.
We'll take a breather here, but still to come on the news. 4 suspects arrested, at least 115 killed in Moscow concert attack. Details of the story and more after this break.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
And wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the go-to app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Corruption not in my country.
It's about the files your secretary presented to me regarding the company's salary. Yes, the figures don't seem to add up. I suspect there's some form of a
discrepancy.
Precisely, sir.
Keep the figures that way.
So that's fraudulent, sir.
That's my money.
I'm sorry, sir. I can't do that, sir.
See how padded your books are. Are you telling me you cannot pad up figures?
Sir, padding is against best auditing practices, and it's a form of corruption.
It's true. Accountant.
You were testing. Thank you, sir.
That's it. Bagole.
Yes, sir.
You are fired.
Fine.
Yes.
Fine, sir. Rather than watch corruption grow under my watch. Pardon is a form of corruption and not in my country, sir.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Welcome back. A quick recap of our headline stories. The presidency has expressed concerns about the delay in implementing a new minimum wage for workers. Speaking in a press conference, Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the President, Ajuri Ngelale, says the government's priority is to first establish sustainable strength in the currency before finalizing any adjustments to the minimum wage. He added that the aim is to set a new minimum wage that is both affordable for states and sufficient to meet the needs of Nigerian families nationwide. We also told you that the Defense Headquarters in Abuja has declared Simon Ekpa, one of the leaders of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, wanted. Ekpa's name has been included on a list of 97 individuals from various parts of the country who are wanted for terrorism, violent extremism, and threat against the state. Among those listed, Ekpa stands out due to his prominent role in controlling a faction of IPOB and his association with the organization's declaration of the notorious Monday sit-at-home in the Southeast Zone. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. The Debt Management Office of Nigeria has revealed that Nigeria's public debt reached 97.34 trillion naira as of the fourth quarter of 2023. The increase in public debt was primarily attributed to new domestic borrowing initiative initiated by the federal government. These borrowings are aimed at partially financing the deficit outlined in the 2024 Appropriation Act, as well as disbursement from both multilateral and bilateral lenders. The increase of 9.43 trillion over the comparative figure for September 2023 was primarily driven by new domestic borrowing by the federal government of Nigeria to finance the deficit in the 2024 Appropriation Act and disbursement by bilateral lenders. Domestic debt accounted for 61% of the total public debt stock, amounting to 59.12 trillion naira, while external debt stood at 38.22 trillion, representing 39% of the total debt owed by Nigeria. On the foreign scene, the recent attack on Krakow City Hall concert venue on the outskirts of Moscow has shocked the world with tragic consequences. According to Russia's security chief, at least 115 people lost their lives in the attack, while over 140 others were wounded. The attack involved gunmen who indiscriminately targeted concert goers, causing chaos and devastation. In response to the attack, Russian authorities have taken swift action, detaining 11 individuals, including 4 directly involved in the attack. While the United States has suggested the involvement of the Islamic State group, Russia has not yet commented on this assertion. Investigations are, however, ongoing to determine the motives and perpetrators behind the attack. Still on the foreign scene, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, has celebrated the International Day of the Remembrance of Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade. In an address, the Secretary General solemnly reflected on the profound suffering endured by enslaved Africans over 4 centuries. It's a day to honor the memory of millions who were trafficked and subjected to unspeakable horrors.
For 400 years, enslaved Africans fought for their freedom, while colonial powers and others committed horrific crimes against them. On the International Day of Remembrance of the Victims of Slavery and the Transatlantic Slave Trade, we remember and honor the millions of Africans who were trafficked and enslaved. Their lives were ruled by terror as they endured rape, floggings, lynchings, and other atrocities and humiliations. Many of those who organized and ran the transatlantic slave trade amassed huge fortunes. Meanwhile, the enslaved were deprived of education, healthcare, opportunity, and prosperity. These laid the foundations for a violent discrimination system based on white supremacy that still echoes today. Descendants of enslaved Africans and people of African descent are still fighting for equal rights and freedoms around the world. Today and every day, we reject the legacy of this horrific crime against humanity. We call for reparatory justice frameworks to help overcome generations of exclusion and discrimination. We appeal for the space and necessary conditions for healing, repair, and justice. And above all, we resolve to work for a world free from racism, discrimination, bigotry, and hate. Together, as we remember the victims of the transatlantic slave trade, let's unite for human rights, dignity, and opportunity for all.
Well, up next is Entertainment Report on News Now.
The controversial activist Very Dark Man is reportedly in cell after being arrested by the police for alleging cyberbullying actress Tonto Dike. It should be recalled that the Very Dark Man was reportedly arrested by the police on charges of cyberbullying amidst a series of allegations made during his back-and-forth clash with Bobrisky. Official Stella, a blogger on Instagram, took to her social media page to break the news and was further confirmed by the Nollywood actress Doris Ogala, who praised Tonto Dike for her deed. Doris Ogala also took to her social media page to wish Very Dark Man a pleasant stay in cell while praising Tonto Dike for arresting the critic. Nigerian radio host Daddy Freeze petitions Christ Embassy Pastor Chris Oyakhilome to bring Mr. Ibu and Mohbad back to life. This comes after the General Overseer made a bold claim recently. According to Pastor Chris in a recent video, he says that in the past 1 year, the church has raised over 50 people from the dead. He claims that they cannot explain such miracles to unbelievers. That the Freeze took to the comment section to post a tackle to the pastor, demanding that he adds Mohbad and Mr. Ibu to the list of people raised from the dead. And that is the entertainment segment on News Now. Queen Ibanigo, TV360 News, Lagos.
And finally on sport, Team Nigeria concluded their remarkable performance in the athletic event at the 2023 African Games in Accra, Ghana, with a flourish, clinching 2 gold, 2 silver, and 2 bronze medals on the final day of the competition. With these outstanding performances, Team Nigeria's athletic tally reached an impressive 11 gold, 6 silver, and 4 bronze medals, totaling 21 medals overall. Despite Nigeria's dominant display, Ethiopia emerged as the closest competitor in the athletics table, securing 7 gold, 7 silver, and 4 bronze medals. South Africa followed closely behind in the 3rd place with 7 gold, 1 silver, and 3 bronze medals. And that wraps up our news bulletin on News Now at this time. Many thanks for joining us. I'm Okpeyemi Owusheni. See you next time.